Going on, everybody? Culturedog Sam Hatch back here with more of my recent Laserdisc pickups. This is video number 3 of 4, and this one we're going to get a little artsy. We're going to go all foreign films, kind of art house films, and Criterion Collection. And that's usually an exciting part of any collector's find when you dig up a lot and there's some Criterion discs in here. And there was a decent amount of Criterion discs in this thing. So in fact, most of what we're going to be talking about will be Criterion Collection discs. Let's jump right into it. We'll start with the non-Criterions, but this one is a flick from 87. This came out in 89, but never seen it. Heard a lot about it from Gabrielle Axel, from the same writer who did Out of Africa. Babette's Feast. Babette, she is so hungry. She needs to feast. I wonder if she's a vampire. She might be a vampire. And then this, I remember seeing this reviewed in Widescreen Review, and was like, I don't know what that movie's about, but I know it's got Isabelle Adjani in it and Gerard Depardieu. But it's actually about the sculptor Rodin and his lady Camille Claudel. This one strangely beat. I mean, not really that beat, but some shelfware. There were some of these that have some minor shelfware and ringware, but then some were kept in jackets, protective sleeves. So it was kind of all over the map, but generally very, very good jacket quality on these suckers. This is funny. This is a bit controversial among my friends because a buddy of mine showed this at a coffee house where we used to show movies on a fairly regular basis, and I would always show junky movies like Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter and Get a Packed House, Shaolin Soccer, stuff like that. And he would show Jim Jarmusch films and clear the house. So Down by Law, classic Jim Jarmusch stuff with Tom Waits among many others. John Lurie in there as well, and Roberto Benigni. So this is a pretty nice image release from '96. Glad to have that. And also, more Jarmusch stuff. This one I've not seen. I always wanted to, though. Night on Earth. Cool. Too bad it's not gatefold, but it's a double disc release. And also image. But it looks pretty cool. Kind of globe-trotting comedy art house style. This I heard a lot about. It's got some creepy cover artwork. But Lasse Hellström's My Life as a Dog. Kind of put Lasse Hellström on the international map. But again, never saw it. 1985. Wow. Gotta have to check that out. Heard a lot about it. It's in Swedish with English subtitles. Ingmar Bergman's Persona. This one's a MGM UA version. And came out in, what year was this? 95 disc release. So that was a good one. Heard a lot about this one. This jacket's a little squishy, but Julie Ormond, Gabrielle Byrne, and Richard Harris in Smilla's Sense of Snow. Say that 30 times fast. Fox widescreen version made in Japan. Wicked. Then I got a couple of the Cinema Disc collections. I never even knew these things were out. They were kind of like another take on Criterion Collection, but not as much of an accent on special features and original shot composition, but yeah, it was pretty good for its time. This came out in 1989, and I've never seen this. Heard about it again, but Nino Rota did the music, so that'll be cool. But Federico Fellini's Juliet of the Spirits. So I do like me some Fellini. The other Cinema Disc one I was a lot more excited about. Again, image, the cover art is just about as crappy as the other image stuff. It's basically the VHS version ported onto Laserdisc. So I definitely would like to get the Criterion Collection DVD of this at some point, but yeah, I was psyched to have Wings of Desire, which I rented on VHS the first time I saw it. Really liked the film. But yeah, Wim Wenders stuff. That was, I think, my first Wim Wenders flick I ever saw. And this one, I've had on multiple versions, Criterion, etc., but never had it on the original Fox widescreen from 93. Akira Kurosawa's Ran. Pretty much King Lear, but set feudal Japan. Really cool release. And yeah, psyched to have that on Laserdisc. And abandon all hope, ye who enter here. It's the Criterion Zone, baby. Everything from here on out is Criteriontastic. So we're even going to go in order. This is spine number 5, the reissue of Carol Reed film that I probably should have seen like 1,000 times by now, but I suck. It is Orson Welles in The Third Man. Super psyched to check this out finally. And another one, I won't even bother to say. I haven't seen this because that's going to be all of these pretty much. But number 29, some more Fellini action. La Strada. Then 38, some Hot Nun action in Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger's Black Narcissus. I mean, I haven't even remotely seen this one. Didn't even know it existed until the Criterion Collection came along. Then this actually has been on my hot list for a while. Number 48. It is a film that's from Michelangelo Antonioni, but known for being remade essentially into a Brian De Palma film with John Travolta. But this is the original Blow Up, but a photographer who sees too much. Later turned into a sound engineer who hears too much in Blow Out. But gatefold. Yeah, psyched to have that. Then this is a film I regret selling my DVD copy of. Kidney stones, don't get them. Then you get hospital bills, and if you can't pay for them, you have to sell your DVDs. And the DVDs that fetch better prices on your return are Criterion Collection ones. So I had to give up pretty much my entire Akira Kurosawa collection and shed a little tear. But now I have it again. Rashomon, great film. Ripped off countless times, you know, a horrible deed told from a bunch of different viewpoints, and they all kind of have different details. If you've seen Basic, you're going to love this. Or likewise, if you've seen Rashomon, you're going to love John McTiernan's Basic. This one I've seen in eBay collections because every time I would try and look up David Fincher's The Game Criterion Collection, this would come up instead, or the CAV version of it. But this is the CLV Jean Renoir's The Rules of the Game. So I guess I have to watch it now. Then we're moving up to number 70. Some more Jean Renoir stuff. The River. So another one for me to watch. I got my work cut out for me. This I had on DVD and I loaned to a friend. Brian, you know who you are. Not that Brian, the other Brian. I loaned it to a friend who had a podcast at the time talking about movies, and this was their assignment movie, and I helped him out. Then he moved out of state. Yeah, I think he's since moved back, but I've still never gotten it back. I'm not bitter. Federico Fellini's 8.5. I actually like La Dolce Vita more than this. It's usually the other way around for most people. But really, really cool flick. Marcello Mastroianni, really good as pretty much the maestro himself. Got a gatefold. And, yeah, cool stuff. For once, they actually had some interesting kind of stuff going on in the background. They usually do the drop the still on the image and then surround it by, like, one color. But they got a little craftier this time. You can hear our big discussion about the pros and cons of Criterion Collection covers in the newest Laserdisc podcast. This is when they started to pick up their game and do actual full cover images. Finally. What year did this come out? 91. First printing, and this was number 85. Ingmar Bergman's Wild Strawberries. Definitely falling down on my Bergman, so this will be a good one to check out. Then 105. Oh, going back to the square, but with some cool backing, design. Akira Kurosawa's Yojimbo. Killer stuff. It's the film that's been remade a billion times as Fistful of Dollars, Last Man Standing, etc. It itself being an adaptation of Dashiell Hammett's Red Harvest. Great stuff with Toshiro Mifune playing multiple parts, factions of a town against one another. Then this has been on my hit list, for a long time too. Big fan of the kind of source material and big fan of Akira Kurosawa. And when I watched the documentary about Kurosawa that came out on, maybe PBS or something showed it in the late 90s and it hit DVD, and I never picked it up on DVD because I suck. But they would show scenes from this one a lot. This came out in 91 as well. Criterion number 106 double disc, but not a gatefold. Through on the Blood. It's kind of Kurosawa's take on Macbeth. Again with Toshiro Mifune. And been wanting to see this movie for a long time. Now I can. Then moving on to number 113, a Louis Buñuel flick, which I've never seen. Heard about it, but that's about it. That Obscure Object of Desire. It's got like a purpley, pinky, kind of pearled cover color there, like that. Another single CLV disc. And another one. This one's got multiple versions. I don't think any of them are officially finished, if that's what I read correctly, but a Orson Welles film. Goes by multiple names, Mr. Arcaden, but also Confidential Report. Apparently Confidential Report is the international version that's longer, a little bit more complete. I haven't seen either of them, but I'm psyched to check that out. Then another one that was on my hit list. I mean, I had this on VHS for the longest time because it was in the public domain, and you could find this and Night of the Living Dead and a few other, some older Georgia Romero stuff and whatnot on the Good Times video piles at the local grocery store for the longest time. But this is a version from 1991, unfortunately by DADC, but it's not bad actually. 138. I'm surprised Criterion was dumb enough to use DADC USA, but I guess they were probably against the wall. But Henri Georges Clouzot's Les Diaboliques, also known as Diabolique. Clouzot is known as the French Hitchcock, but Wages of Fear is a really, really good film. Also remade as Sorcerer. Check that out. But this is just a good kind of small tale of murder and terrifying fear and mental manipulation and stuff like that. Good stuff. Speaking of horror stuff, never had this. Never owned it in any fashion. I've just seen it on TV and cable and on demand. Criterion 141A, little single CLV version with multiple there's a commentary track, a music and effects track, and a mono track, so that's pretty cool. But this is the Criterion version of Carrie, and I heard somebody talk about this recently. Brian De Palma specifically wanted them to remove the mats and show the and not have this receive a letterbox transfer. So not sure what that was all about. So it's not in the theatrical OAR, but apparently it was at the director's behest. So hopefully there's no dolly tracks and all that stuff in the full frame. This I have never heard of until I got this disc pretty much, but another Carol Reed, Graham Greene production, The Fallen Idol. Intrigued by it, though. And again, I finally learned how to use a picture and blow it up to use the whole front of the jacket. Congratulations, Criterion. You're a big boy now. Only took you a while. This one came out in 1992, number 164 in the series. Another classic I've never owned or seen, 165. Francois Truffaut's Jules et Jim, also known as Jules and Jim. Seen it referenced and ripped off in other movies, etc., but I've never seen the original film itself. And likewise, critically lauded and pretty much like Cineast 101, so I'm a complete idiot for not having seen it. Les 400 coups, The 400 Blows, Francois Truffaut. Yeah, everybody's seen this thing if you're into cinema, except for me, because I suck. Now I'm going to check this out. And some newer stuff, from also French cinema, from Remy Bilvaux. This was a 92 release. Heard a lot about it. Always wanted to check it out. And there's a little bit of a supplement on here on side 2 as well, which is pretty cool. And has the original director's cut NC-17 version. Oh yeah, and a short film on here as well. So, 1993's Man Bites Dog. Pretty striking cover art there. As you can see, Criterion finally started getting their act together. And this, I never heard of. Really interesting cover art. Looks like a Gangsta Jesus. 1994 release. This is number 222. Andrei Tarkovsky's Andrei Rublev. Pretty striking cover art there. And a pretty massive informational gatefold. And that is, oh yeah, I said that number. This one is number 289. I know my wife was hoping for Cocteau's Beauty and the Beast in this set, but sadly 'twas not to be. This, however, is a 96 pressing of a 1930 Cocteau flick, The Blood of a Poet. Pretty busy back jacket there. And yeah, no idea what to expect with this one. Then moving outside of the French art house, we got number 360, a film I saw in theaters, and I do have some pretty heavy problems with the third act of this sucker. But it's worth having on Laserdisc just for the FDVD quote. Kevin Smith's Chasing Amy. Really good cover art too. And nice gatefold. They really put a lot of effort into this sucker. So, yeah, it's about time I give this one another shot. And finally, number 196, The Beast. Came out in, was 1996, this release, yeah. Terry Gilliam's 1985 classic, Brazil. You've seen it in my box sets video, so yes, I do have it. And yes, Moiki has already earmarked this one for his collection. So, if Moiki bails, though, this could be, yeah, something I could sell to some other worthy collector out there. It's got a cool, cool booklet. A lot of custom graphics they did there. Yeah, seminal release. One of the best Criterions. One of the cases where they pushed it back because they just kept making it bigger and bigger and adding more stuff. They added another disc and everything, so it's definitely worth the wait. So, yeah, that's it for the Criterions and the Arthouse films. So hopefully everybody feels a little bit more snooty and educated or something like that. So I saved the best for last. Sci-fi and horror, man. Let's do it next. Cheers. Thanks for hanging out, everybody.